following document was recovered from a decaying file cabinet deep within the now-abandoned Camp Wexley grounds. The file, labeled only Incident 1976 Cabin Echo, contains handwritten notes, taped audio fragments, and a typed narrative believed to be the last surviving testimony of a former counselor. Camp Wexley. Final week. Summer 1976. I was 17 when I worked at Camp Wexley. It was my first job, and I'd begged my parents to let me stay the full summer. They were hesitant, not because of anything specific, just something about the camp made them nervous. I thought they were just being overprotective. The place was old. Wooden cabins with peeling paint, rusted canoes by the lake, a mess hall that smelled of mildew no matter how often we cleaned it. But to us, the counselors and the kids, it was a second home. Until the final week. We'd already lost 2 kids by then. No, not like that. They didn't die. They disappeared. One from cabin pine, the other from birch. Both went missing at night. No signs of struggle, no footprints, no broken windows, just empty beds by morning. The camp director, Mr. Halden, told us to stay quiet. They probably wandered off into the woods, and he said, "We'll find them." But we didn't. By the 5th day, nobody was sleeping. The woods that had once seemed magical now pressed in on us like a trap. I kept hearing things at night, soft rustling by the windows, distant laughter where no one should be. But the worst was Cabin Echo. Cabin Echo had been closed for years. Some said it was because of black mold. Others said a kid hanged himself there in the 60s. Either way, it was boarded up. But one night I saw a light coming from inside. I should have ignored it. I told myself it was just a reflection. Maybe moonlight catching broken glass. But something about the way the light flickered didn't feel right. Like it was moving, calling. I grabbed my flashlight and went alone. I don't know why I didn't wake anyone. Maybe part of me knew they wouldn't believe me. Maybe part of me knew what I'd find. The boards over the door weren't just broken. They were pulled inward. The inside of the cabin smelled like wet leaves and iron. There were markings on the walls, like someone had clawed at them for hours. And in the center of the floor, a circle of stones. When I stepped inside, the door slammed behind me. I screamed, banged on the wood. No one came. Then the whispering started. It came from under the floorboards, then from the ceiling, then all around me. Whispers in a language I didn't understand, layered with something deeper, like something breathing alongside every word. And then I saw them. The missing kids. They weren't right. They were pale, eyes black like ink, smiling in that slow, twitching way that people in cartoons do when they're pretending to be happy. Their clothes were soaked, muddy, rotting, but they didn't move toward me. They just watched. I stepped back and my foot hit the circle of stones. Every candle in the room flared up, even though I hadn't seen any candles before. Light filled the cabin, and in that light, I saw what was inside the stones. A hole. Not a hole in the ground, a hole, in everything, a place where light didn't work, where shapes twisted and broke, where something enormous waited, smiling. The kids pointed to it. I ran. I don't remember how I got out. I woke up by the lake, my flashlight dead, my clothes torn. The counselor said I must have sleepwalked. Mr. Halden said I imagined it. But Cabin Echo burned down that night. They said it was lightning. They never rebuilt it. The camp closed the next summer. Now it's just rotting cabins and vines. But if you ever find yourself near the old grounds, stay away from the clearing past the lake, because the stones are still there, and the whispering never stopped. Continuation. Journal fragment. Found in ashes of Cabin Echo. August 17th, 1982. They're back. I never thought I'd return, but something kept calling me in dreams. I saw the cabin, rebuilt, but wrong. Windows facing inward. No doors. I followed the dreams until I came here. There are no maps that show Camp Wexley anymore. The road that used to lead here has been buried under roots in decades. But the circle, it's still intact. And now it's bigger. Tonight I watched something crawl out of the stones. It wasn't a person. It wore something like skin, but wrong, too tight, too dry. Its face folded in places no face should fold. It didn't walk, it glided. like film skipping frames. And wherever it went, the trees leaned away. It left something at the edge of the circle, a whistle, one of the ones we used for counselor alerts. It was mine, but I never came back to get it. If you find this, don't try to burn the stones again. Fire only feeds it. The hole is open, and it's hungry. Very summer, Camp Duskwood opened its gates to dozens of children. Nestled deep in the pine-covered hills of northern Maine, it was the kind of place parents loved. No cell signal, strict counselors, wholesome activities. Just kids, cabins, and nature. And every summer, at least one kid never came back. They said it was the woods. Easy to get lost, the brochures warned. Bears, cliffs, rivers. Tragic, but plausible. Enough to explain the missing posters. Enough to calm worried parents. But those of us who worked there, we knew something else was happening. I was a counselor in 2019. My name's Elise. I was 21, fresh out of college, just looking for a summer gig before grad school. I got assigned to cabin 4, the oldest one, creaky and a bit too close to the tree line. The kids hated it. I hated it too, but no one complained. First week was normal, swimming, crafts, campfires. Then, on the 7th night, a boy named Connor whispered to me, "There's a girl in the woods." I thought he meant one of the campers. "No," he said. "She's not from here. She watches from the trees." At first, I shrugged it off. Campfire tales, sleep deprivation, kids being weird. Until the drawing started. Connor and 2 other kids, Mia and Brandon, began sketching the same figure. A pale girl with dark hair standing behind trees with black holes for eyes. No face, just eyes, and always with a long red dress. I took the pictures to the head counselor, Troy. He laughed. "Classic ghost story. They always make one up by the 2nd week." But he seemed nervous, like he'd seen it before. That night, Connor vanished. We searched the whole camp, then the woods. No sign, no screams, no footprints. He was just gone. When the rangers showed up, Troy insisted it was a runaway. "Happens," he said. "Kids panic, they bolt, especially the quiet ones." But Connor wasn't quiet. He was curious, and he had told me something else the night before. "She said she wants to play." The camp didn't close. The parents were told Connor had been picked up early, and just like that, gone. But things got worse. Animals stopped coming near cabin 4. I found a dead bird in my bed one morning. Mia began wetting the bed and whispering to the walls. Brandon refused to go near the woods. He sat with his back to the trees, eyes wide, muttering, "She's waiting. She's smiling now." I checked the cameras. Yes, we had a few trail cams. They were mostly used for checking on wildlife or spotting bears. On July 15th, around 3:19 a.m., one camera near the edge of camp caught something. Someone, small, barefoot, stepping out from between the trees. Her face was a blur. Her hands were too long. She looked straight into the lens. Then the camera cut out. I showed Troy. He deleted the footage. Didn't say a word, just stared at me and said, "Don't mention this to anyone." I didn't sleep that night. 3 days later, Mia disappeared. No screams, no sound, just gone. I found her sketchbook. The last drawing was of our cabin. Inside were stick figures. All of us, sleeping. And outside, by the window, the girl in red, smiling. I tried to call the police, but my phone had no service. Not just in the woods, even in town. I borrowed another phone from a counselor. Same result. Landline in the main office, dead. We were cut off. I told the other counselors, but no one believed me. They said Mia's mom had picked her up, but I saw her backpack still in the cabin. I saw her socks under the bunk. They were lying. That night, I barricaded the doors. I kept Brandon in my bunk. I didn't sleep. At 3:12 a.m., I heard knocking. Not on the door, on the window. Tap, tap, tap. I didn't look. I couldn't. But Brandon did. He screamed so loud he lost his voice. He wouldn't speak for days. When he did, he just said, "She's inside now." The camp closed the next day, not because of the disappearances, but because Troy was found hanging in the woods. A note pinned to his shirt read, "They never left. We just stopped seeing them." The news called it a suicide. Another tragedy. The camp was shut down for repairs. No one mentioned the missing kids. Their parents were told stories. Everyone moved on. Except me. I'd dream of her. Of the red dress. Of the eyes. Of the tapping. I still wake up at 3:12 a.m. And I know, yeah, she followed me home. I moved to Boston after that summer, thinking I could outrun what happened at Camp Duskwood. I took a night shift job at a bookstore, found a tiny apartment, and told myself, over and over, that it was stress, sleep deprivation, trauma. But I kept waking up at 3:12 a.m. every night, and always with the same sound echoing in my ears, tap, tap, tap. I taped over the windows, slept with the lights on, even bought one of those white noise machines to drown out the silence. But the tapping always came, and when I checked my door, nothing. Until the fog came. It started the same week as the anniversary of Connor's disappearance. A thick, unnatural fog began rolling through my street every night. My neighbors said it was weird weather, but I knew that smell, that damp, rotting pine smell, just like the woods. Then one night I looked outside, and I saw her, standing in the bog just beyond the streetlight, pale, soaked, and still. The red dress clung to her skin like wet silk, her head tilted just slightly. Her arms hung at her sides, impossibly long. I couldn't see her eyes, but I felt them, burning through the glasses. Into Mesa. I didn't sleep that night or the next. I stayed with a friend for a few days, but the tapping followed. Once, when I stayed in a hotel 2 towns over, I found a single dead bird on the windowsill, just like at camp. I finally called one of the old counselors, Jonah. He'd gone off-grid after the camp closed. I tracked him down on a forum for paranormal survivors. His response was instant. She doesn't forget, she marks the ones who see her. She follows. You can't run, Elise, you have to go back. Back? He said the land where Camp Duskwood sat had a history. Long before it was a camp, it was a burial ground for orphaned children from the 1800s. A place of silence, of secrets. One of the children, a girl in red, was said to have died alone in the woods after escaping the orphanage. They say she waited for her parents. Waited for years, and when no one came, she started taking replacements. She's lonely, Jonah said. That's the worst part. It's not malice. It's hunger, like a starving animal. I asked him what to do. He only said, she doesn't stop until she has it, everyone. Then he hung up. Last week I saw Brandon on the news. He was 15 now. He'd gone missing during a school field trip, disappeared in broad daylight in a crowded museum. Only thing they found was a sketchbook he left behind. Every page was filled with the girl in red. I've decided to go back to the ruins of Camp Duskwood. Maybe if I face her, if I talk to her, it'll end. I've packed only what I need: matches, salt, a recorder, and a bell, the kind they used in old cemeteries to make sure the dead stayed buried. If you're reading this, if this journal is all that's left, please remember, she said she doesn't like being alone anymore, and she's still looking for friends. I drove through the night, mile after mile, through silent forests and fog-choked valleys. The road to Camp Duskwood had long since been removed from most GPS maps, but I remembered every turn, every hill, every crooked mile marker. It was like the place wanted me back. The entrance sign was gone, just a rusted metal post eaten by moss. But the gate was open. Of course it was. Nothing stays locked when she's waiting. The camp itself was in ruins. Cabins collapsed, fire pits drowned in weeds. But the trees were alive. Too alive. They pressed in, thick and wrong, pulsing with something underneath. I followed the path to cabin 4. The door was still there, but warped. Splinters of red paint clung to the frame. Red, like the dress. Inside, it smelled the same: pine, mildew, and old memories. and something else. Salt. Burned hair. I spun my bag, pulled out the recorder, hit record, and said, "I'm here." Nothing. Then a knock. Not on the door. From inside the cabin. From the closet. Tap, tap, tap. I walked toward it, heart racing. I felt like I was 21 again, holding Connor's drawings and shaking hands. I opened the closet. Darkness. And then eyes. Two black voids opening in the air like tears in reality. She stepped forward, not walking, sliding. Her dress dragged behind her like wet curtains. Her hair moved even when the air didn't. Her face, no, it wasn't a face. It was a memory of one. "You came back," she whispered. But her mouth didn't move. I nodded. I wanted to scream, cry, run, but I stood still. "You left me," she said. "I'm sorry." She tilted her head. The eyes blinked. Not in sync, not human. "Will you stay?" I reached into my bag and took out the bell. "If I stay," I said, "they'll keep coming. More campers, more children." She didn't reply, only watched. "Let me help you rest." Then I rang the bell. It echoed unnaturally, as if every tree, every stone, every inch of Camp Duskwood vibrated with the sound. She screamed, the kind of scream that shatters glass, that shakes your bones, that comes from every mouth that ever cried alone in the dark. The air folded inward. She collapsed into herself like smoke pulled into a vacuum. Her dress dissolved. Her hair faded. The forest went still. I don't remember driving home, but I woke up in my apartment, covered in pine needles, with the recorder beside me. It played only one sound, a small voice whispering, "Thank you." Camp Duskwood is truly gone now, burned to the ground in a controlled demolition. But I know the truth. I know she's sleeping, and I know she might wake again. If you ever hear tapping at 3:12 a.m., don't answer, don't look, just listen. Enjoy the unease, leave a like, hit subscribe, and we'll keep digging up the things they tried to forget. Enjoy the unease? Leave a like, hit subscribe, and we'll keep digging up the things they tried to forget.